Today, we become legends.
Hey, my name's Inter, and welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be doing a tier list based on how infuriating all the gods in Smite 2 are to play against. We got all the gods down here, also their aspects, because sometimes that does make a difference. Some gods, aspect or not, are about the same level of infuriating, but some gods are much more infuriating in one form or another. Obviously, this is my own personal opinion. I feel like that's pretty obvious, but leave your own personal opinion down below if you disagree heavily or agree with my picks. We got miserable, annoying, tolerable, fine, and fun as the tiers. Pretty self-explanatory, but let's just get right into it with Achilles, which I think are both probably in fun, I would say. I don't really have any problems playing against Achilles. I think he's a very kind of fundamental kit. There is counterplay to it. It's fine. Regular Agni, I'll probably put in like tolerable. Aspect Agni, I'll put in miserable. It might just be because like Aspect Agni's been like one of the best gods in the game for so long. I don't know, but like it's just so miserable to play against this, man. The Aspect is just like completely overtuned, and the fact that it's like an ADC with insane damage that has access to an instant unmissable stun as well as a good dash. And even solid ability poke as well, just because of the Aspect. It's absolutely miserable playing against Aspect Agni. Regular Agni is fine. I know Agni actually has a lot of haters. I'm kind of surprised about that. I think Agni's just like tolerable. I guess I said he's fine. He's not fine. There are some annoyances playing against Agni, I think. Especially that dash away and stun, keeping him so safe. But I think I'd say he's tolerable. Aladdin, I'll probably put in like annoying. I love the guy. Playing as him, he's like one of the most fun gods in the entire game. But I will admit playing against him could be pretty annoying. I wouldn't put it in miserable tier. Like there is some counterplay to Aladdin, but he like fundamentally breaks the game in so many ways. So many fights that like he takes and you're like, oh, I'm totally fine here, and then he wishes for power and just completely destroys you, or lamps and completely destroys you. You think you've got him locked down, and then he just runs along a wall, jumps across half the entire map, and there's no way you can chase him down. Like Aladdin can be really annoying to play against, but I wouldn't quite put him in the miserable tier, I wouldn't say. Armor is probably tolerable in both. There's an argument to put aspect one tier above, just because like the aspect is notorious for split push builds, which is really annoying. Armor in general can be like a really split push heavy god, but I feel like you don't see like as much of it as like, you know, it's not like I'm playing against auto speed every game. If I was, maybe this would be a miserable tier, because he can do a bit of annoying split push with armor. But otherwise, I would say she's just tolerable. Little bit of annoyances here and there, but not really too bad. And her, I would say fun, honestly, for both of them, I think. Aspect and her doesn't really change too much about him. And yeah, I think Anher's fun to play against. He has counterplay. He can absolutely explode you if he's playing well, but he also does have counterplay, as I say, and he's a little bit unsafe. Yeah, I think he's a pretty fun god to play against. Anubis is fine. People get annoyed by Anubis. I don't really. As I was saying with Anher, in terms of like counterplay, that's one of the biggest factors in terms of if a god is fun to play against or not. You know, they can be powerful, but if they have adequate counterplay that is available and you can outplay them, I think it's fun to play against. And yeah, Anubis can absolutely explode you. He can lifesteal a ton, but he's very unsafe and he has counterplay, so I think he's fine. Afro, obvious one. Miserable playing against Afro. Does it really need much more explanation? Her ultimate is like the most busted ability in the entire game, just completely denies you kills when fights on its own. She shares procs with her backliners, which is also really annoying. It's very underrated, the fact that she shares 11% of her procs with backliners. With a tank build, that can easily be sharing 20 to 25 of each procs with the backliner that she is kissed to, which is just a massive amount of damage reduction. Yeah, super annoying god. Also gives cooldowns to her backliners as well, because why not? Apollo goes to at least annoying. Is he miserable? But he's probably not miserable to play against, but yeah, I think both versions of Apollo go to annoying, to be honest. Regular Apollo, notorious split pusher, obviously, could just split push, and then when you send someone to deal with him, he ults over to the 5, makes it a 5v4, is super annoying. The Mez also makes him like really safe, especially in 1v1s where you can just mez someone and then get out. The Aspect has similar problems, but obviously a little bit less relevant with split pushing, because you're usually building more tanky on the Aspect, so you don't split pushes effectively. But yeah, like just constant one spam, the Mez is still annoying. Ares, I would probably say annoying as well, both forms. Ares Aspect doesn't really make him play all too different, to be honest. But yeah, Ares just way too much damage, way too much lockdown, very matchup dependent as well. In ranked, you can kind of pick around it or ban it or whatever, but in casuals, like if you pick a god that is weak to Ares and it just happens they have an Ares on the enemy team, good fucking luck, dude. If you are at all reliant on movement abilities, especially if you're reliant on them for doing your damage, like you will be with something like Aladdin or Fenrir or Susano, you are just absolutely screwed. Mordred as well. Yeah, sometimes Ares can be tolerable based on the team comp, but the fact that like sometimes if you're playing casuals or whatever and you can't pick around it, sometimes you just get absolutely ruined by the fact that they picked Ares. Artemis, I would probably say annoying as well in both forms. It doesn't really change too much about her. Probably probably on the lower end of annoying, I would say. Maybe I'll even put her intolerable. The main thing that's annoying about Artemis is the ult, to be honest. Like, it's just, you need beads to dive an Artemis in the late game, or you've got no chance, basically, and that's kind of annoying. Like, obviously, if you're a jungler, but even if you're a solo laner, you know, if you get stunned by that boar into a trap, you are just dead. The Artemis is going to shred you down instantly before you can do anything. So you pretty much need some form of CC immunity to be able to bead the boar when she dives, and that keeps her, like, safer than you think she would be in late game team fights. And yeah, it's basically just her ultimate. I don't really have any problems with the rest of Artemis' kit, to be honest. It's mainly just her ultimate, which is why I think probably one tier below the guys that are up here. I don't think I have Aspect Athena on this list for some reason, but it's fine because they'll both be placed in the same tier. I'm just going to put them intolerable. Athena can be annoying. The global presence can definitely be a problem. The taunt is kind of death if you don't beat it. But she does have counterplay. I think Athena's not like too bad to play against. She's just a little bit annoying. Awilix, I'll probably say tolerable as well. Awilix has some haters for sure. I don't think she's that bad. She can have some annoyances. It's a little bit like Ares as well, in that like she is really matchup dependent a lot of the time. If you're in casuals and you didn't pick around Awilix, she can absolutely farm some picks, especially if you're very jump reliant. And yeah, she can be a bit annoying. Bacchus, I don't really have a problem with Bacchus. I think I'll put both of them in fine. Aspect Bacchus, maybe I would move one tier up just because like this guy does way too much fucking damage with the Aspect on. You can't contest him early game because his autos just swing you for like 100 at level 1. It's kind of insane. But yeah, other than that, I don't have a massive problem with Bacchus. I know he does have some haters, but personally, he's just like a pretty fundamental support. I know he does a lot of damage, obviously, but that's kind of just like one of his strong suits. Yeah, no real problems with him. Barry, definitely annoying at least. I don't think I'd put her in miserable, but Barry is very annoying to play against, man. Having to constantly keep track of if she's ready to launch Spirit, because that can absolutely swing a fight, is really annoying to play into. Her 3 is completely busted. The free stats she gets is annoying. And then, of course, there's her ultimate. Do we need to talk about it? It's kind of similar to Afro in a way, except it can affect the entire team, but obviously worse than Afro ult. The amount of trades I've taken into a Barry and then been like, oh fuck, her ult's come back up because it's on a way too low cooldown, and I just die because she gets like a 1.5 second Aegis out of nowhere. Really annoying. I probably wouldn't quite put her in miserable, but Barry can be very annoying to play into. Baron, another god that has haters that I don't think is that bad, man. I'm going to put him in fine. There's a little bit of annoyance there with Baron, I would say, in terms of just like he's a bit of a, if he hits the 3, he wins. If he doesn't hit the 3, he loses. But that's the counterplay, I suppose. You know, if you can juke the 3, Baron is kind of like a sitting duck. If you get hit by the 3 consistently and he's outplaying you, he's going to destroy you. Especially if you can also hit his 2 and 1 raw. If you can do that as well, then that's going to be great for him. Yeah, this counterplay to Baron, I don't really have a major problem with him. Bologna, I'll put in like at least tolerable. Arguably should be even a tier up from this, I think, but I'll leave it here for now. Both aspect and non-aspect, they're basically the same. But the problem I have with Bologna is like she's just a lame win machine. There's basically nothing you can do in this matchup. You basically just gotta farm, try and outclear her if you can, out-farm her, and then wait for ganks or something. There's very few gods that can win a 1v1 trade against a Bologna. And I'm never really a huge fan of that. You know, Hades in Smite 1 was a good example of that, where like it's just a god in solo lane that just automatically wins the lane for free. I don't really like that. Kabrakan, I'll probably put tolerable as well. This guy is honestly insane right now, man. No DR stuns, obviously, is really powerful. This guy has some of the highest lockdown in the entire game, and also he's just ridiculously tanky because of the free procs he gets from his 2 and his passive giving percent mitigation. And this guy is probably the tankiest character in the entire game, outside of maybe Aspect Loki, in terms of just like he never dies. And I do find it a little annoying that like on the early waves he can literally just hit you for free and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. He just hits you, he aggroes your wave, but he doesn't care because he has so much free tankiness in his kit. He just eats your entire wave, barely takes any damage. If you try and fight him back, you're going to eat his wave and you're going to die. So basically he just walks at you and just slams you with abilities and you have to back off. That can be a little annoying, but otherwise I don't think Kabrakan's like super bad that I will put him higher up the list. Cerberus is fine. Maybe even fun, to be honest. I would say the one annoying thing about him is his passive. Like, some gods just really have a hard time ever killing a Cerberus if they're healing reliant. If you're healing a lot, you know, especially if you're a tank trying to fight a Cerberus that is healing a lot, you just can't kill him because he's, like, healing more than you're dealing because he's just stealing all of your heals, which can be a little annoying. But otherwise, I think Cerberus is fine. I don't have a problem with him, regular and aspect. Cernanos is fine as well, I think. Aspect Cernanos, maybe I'll put up to tolerable just because, like, there is a bit of annoyance with Aspect Cernanos, in my opinion. AoE also is giving him free wave clear. The amount of damage this pick puts out is honestly insane. I do think it's a bit underrated. But yeah, overall, not, like, too bad. Chuck, I'll probably put tolerable for both. The Aspect is a little more annoying, but not worthy of putting up a higher tier, I don't think. Just because, like, the Aspect, you can just 1-3 the wave and you can't really do anything about it. Cupid, probably fine. I think Cupid's fine. There is a little bit of matchup diff sometimes, like I was talking about with like Ares and the Wheelix, for example. Like if you have no CC immunity on your ult and are reliant on a jump, his ultimate absolutely screws you. He can basically force beads every time he ults you, which is pretty scary. But, you know, it's fine to have some cases where like a matchup can be better or worse. It's just like in extreme cases like Ares where I don't really like it. Yeah, I'd say Cupid is fine. Danza, tolerable at best, I would say. This god is really annoying, man. The no DR jar, the ultimate that hits for fucking half your health for absolutely no reason is all just way too much damage. The clones honestly have started to annoy me a little bit. I thought it was cool initially, but the clones do start to get annoying over time, where it's just like, okay, I'm fighting fucking 7 Danza Burrow clones here and they're body blocking all my shit. I'll say tolerable though. I won't go any higher than that. I don't think he's like as bad as like Ares or Apollo, Aladdin kind of pick. Fenrir is like fine, I would say. I don't really have any major problems with Fenrir. Obviously, his ultimate can be pretty devastating if you get caught without beads down, especially if you don't have a CC immune ultimate. If you're in a matchup where you can't stop his Brutalize easily within your base kit, Brutalize is going to farm you. But, you know, that's just kind of like how it is, I suppose. Bit of a volatile character. You can maybe argue for tolerable on Fenrir, but I think he's fine. Ganesh, annoying at best. In regular mode. In aspect mode, probably the same, to be honest. They're annoying for different reasons. Obviously, Aspect Ganesha just completely blows you up and one-shots you. Regular Ganesha CC chains you for like 4 seconds straight, and like no one is surviving that, not even a tank in the late game. God is kind of nuts. I do think he's underrated right now, but yeah, that's silence into dash CC chain. Like if you don't have beads, you're just kind of dying. Geb is fine. Should I maybe start putting more gods in fun, I suppose? I'd say Geb is pretty fun to play against in both forms. And maybe I'll put Cerberus down here as well. Yeah, no real problems with Geb. He does his thing. He's got some big AoE CCs. He shields allies. I guess the shield can be a little annoying. Yeah, maybe I'll bump him up once here just because like the shield can be a bit more annoying with Geb. Guan. Regular Guan, tolerable. Aspect Guan, annoying, I think. Because Aspect Guan leans more into the healing aspect, and I think Guan's healing is, like, super annoying to play into. He's, like, one of the few gods in the game that can still kind of play that Smite 1 healer style, where you just, you can back off, disengage, heal the entire team up within about 15 seconds, and then just re-engage. And if you don't have a healer on par with Guan, which no healer in the game is on par with Guan, he heals the most by far. Especially when you're in the aspect. If you don't have that, like, they just, they take a poke fight, everyone's at about half health, they back off for 15 seconds, and, you know, you can't recall to base because they'll take Fire Giant, and they just kind of, like, sit there healing up with Guan, and then they can take the fight. It's a really annoying playstyle, and that is much more common on regular Guan, on Aspect Guan than it is on regular Guan, which is why he's a tier higher. Hades, annoying as well. He's a little bit less like Smite 1 Hades in the way that, like, he just wins lane and doesn't do anything late game. He definitely does stuff late game now. And he's a little bit less oppressive in the lane. His clear isn't quite as good. But he does still have that vibe to him. You know, once he gets a few points in his 3, he just insta-clears the wave, runs away, takes more farm, proxies your waves. It's really hard to fight into. His ultimate gives him way too many pros. Hades is still pretty annoying to play into, for sure. Akate, I'll put him fine. Has a lot of haters, I think. But I think Akate is fine to play into. I think she has counterplay. I think she's pretty fine overall. We'll zoom out a bit here. Herc, another god that has haters, but I don't find him too bad. I put him in fine, I think, for both versions. They're basically the same thing. Herc aspect barely changes him. The one annoying thing about Herc, which is why I wouldn't put him in like the fun tier, is his passive. You really just cannot take a level 1 trade into Hercules, like a level 1 auto trade, unless maybe you're Bellona or whatever. Because that free strength that he's getting from his passive is just going to absolutely chunk you. So you basically can never trade into a Hercules for like the first 3 levels or so, or he's just going to kill you instantly. That can be a little annoying, but other than that, I don't really mind playing against Herc all too much. Regular Hui, I'll put in tolerable. Aspect Hui, I will put in miserable? I don't know, annoying. Aspect Hui is like the most annoying thing in the world, man. I might honestly put it in miserable. Like the way this aspect works is just like so stupid in my opinion. Like it doesn't make the autos ricochet, it makes them home. Like they hit and then they home off onto anyone that's nearby. They don't just ricochet at a specified angle. And so it's like when Aspect Hui is just autoing the wave, you're just taking free poke if you're standing anywhere near your own wave, which you oftentimes will be if you're trying to clear the enemy wave. It's super annoying. And then Hui in general for both aspect and non-aspect, his jump is just fucking stupid, dude. Like, why is Hui's jump infinitely better than every other jump in the game? Not only does it cover more distance than basically any other jump in the game and buy him a bunch of time where he can hover in the air, wait for allies, decide if he wants to re-engage, move towards a wall and jump over it. But also, this thing is like active from frame -1, it feels like. As soon as he presses that jump ability, he is completely immune to everything. It's not how like any other jump in the game works. It's just Hui for some reason. But you can throw an ability at him and like during the animation, he's clearly like preparing to leap off the ground. He takes no damage. Like apparently he's just immune as soon as he presses the button, and it's the only jump that works this way. I don't really know why, but it's infuriating to play against her. You know, there's no, like, predicting that he might jump and throwing something at him before he can get it off. No, as soon as he presses that button, he's just gone. Bats, I'll put in tolerable, I guess, for both. Bats can be a bit annoying, in my opinion, especially with, like, the fake engage, like, jump away combos that you got in Smite 2, where you can just jump away and do damage to you with the jump on takeoff, which is really annoying. Izanami, is it miserable? It's probably not quite miserable, but annoying. It's similar to, like, Bologna and Hades in solo. Izanami is the same thing, but for duo lane. Like, her wave clear is just completely free, and there's no way you can lose lane on this god unless you're absolutely brain dead. Janus, infuriating, miserable. If there was a higher tier, Janus will be in it. Except maybe Afro. Afro will probably be the only one up here currently that I hate more than Janus playing against. I love Janus. You know, it's like Aladdin. I love Aladdin, but I gotta put him up in the annoying tier in terms of playing against him. Janus is the same. This god is infuriating to play against, man. With how low cooldowns are in Smite 1, in Smite 2, it makes it even worse than he was in Smite 1 in terms of just always being able to get out of anything. Yeah, insane mobility. You can just go and hyper farm, and if you actually try and stop him hyper farming, you know, usually you have to overcommit to him to actually chase him down, or he's just going to pull out. You got to send like 2 or 3 people, and then they get an objective because you got 2 or 3 people chasing a Janus around. It's just so annoying. Jingwei, annoying at the very least. Probably not quite in the miserable tier, but Jingwei's super annoying. Similar to Izanami a little bit, but in a different way, in that like Jingwei can never really lose lane. Izanami always wins lane for free because of her autos clearing the wave. Jingwei can never lose lane because if she ever gets poked out, she just flies back for free and never misses any farm. That's annoying in itself. And then just a late game Jingwei, like if you ever let a Jingwei get to 6 items, she just kills your whole team for free because her 2's autos, she gets like 9/12 of them and they're completely unmissable and she just blows up your whole team. Yeah, super annoying. Probably not quite in the miserable tier, but Jing is very annoying. Kali, at least annoying, I would say. And then Aspect Kali, I'm very tempted to put in miserable, dude. I won't lie. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to put both of them up there. They're not quite as bad as some of the other ones that I already have up here, I think. But regular Kali obviously does regular Kali things. She can go completely invincible. She can shred down targets incredibly quickly and like heal a bunch from it. It's not quite as bad as it used to be back in the day in like Smite 1. It used to be like a 90% health heal. Now it's gone down to like 35 or something silly. It's like much lower than it used to be. But it's still really good. And then Aspect Kali, that ultimate is just ridiculous, dude. One of the best steroids in the entire game. Resets his cooldown when you get a kill. Ton of lifesteal. Yeah, if you don't, like, get on and instantly kill an Aspect Kali, she's just going to kill the whole team very quickly. That is very annoying. Kepri. Probably the same tier as Geb, I think. Arguably a little bit more annoying than Geb, I would say, because, you know, his ultimate is better than a Geb shield in terms of completely denying kills, and also his 1 is just, like, ridiculous lockdown. But yeah, overall, I'd say not that bad. Kepri's fine to play against. Cuckoo, annoying for sure. This god is just runaway simulator in Smite 2 since they gave him a dash out of his tornado. He just sits there, like, throws a tornado on himself. You can't really go near him because you're going to take a bunch of damage and he's going to dash away. Massive slow on the 1, massive zoning potential on the 3. This god is just runaway simulator, and I really hate that playstyle. Loki and Aspect Loki probably both going annoying, I would say. Obviously, everyone expects Loki to be like at the top of a hated to play against tier list. I don't think he's as bad as some other picks, personally. Pre-rework Loki probably would have been a miserable tier, but I think since the rework, he does have a little bit more counterplay. He doesn't kill you quite as instantly. He can still absolutely nuke you late game for sure, but like any assassin can do that. I don't think Loki's like as bad as he used to be. And then Aspect Loki, I've not had too much time to play against it yet, but it seems like it might be a bit annoying, I won't lie, just with the like how insanely tanky you can get, the insane mitigations. Medusa is fine. Maybe even fun. I don't really have any problems playing against Medusa. I think she's a perfectly fine kit. Merlin is fine. No problems with Merlin, really. Mordred, I'd probably put in, like, tolerable. Both forms, they kind of play roughly the same. I don't think Mordred's too bad to play against. I know he does have a lot of haters. It's mainly just like Mordred's ultimate, honestly, I think is one of the main problems with him. The dashing around as well can be annoying. Yeah, he's very evasive. You gotta make sure you place your abilities right, otherwise he's just gonna be a dash around and completely juke everything you have. But yeah, honestly, it's Mordred's ultimates that are like the most annoying thing to play against, I would say, just because they're up so often and they provide such a massive health swing because both of them do good damage and both of them heal him. You can think you're winning a fight, you saw Mordred ult 20 seconds ago, but then suddenly, bam, you're getting ulted again, and then he's won the fight because you didn't expect him to have his ultimate up after 20 seconds, but he did because he's Mordred. That can be pretty annoying. Mulan, I would put in probably at least tolerable, maybe annoying. I'll go for annoying. I really don't like playing against Mulan, man. She's a really spiky character and is kind of annoying to deal with. Like, one moment she'll be useless and you'll be completely dominating the trades into her, and then the next moment she gets like an extra rank up on her 1 and or 2 and buys like 1 item, and then suddenly she's just fucking one-shotting you out of nowhere. And that's really annoying to play around, in my opinion. Neath infuriating in regular, infuriating in aspect, probably. Regular Neith, she just completely explodes you out of nowhere, is way safer than she should be because she can backflip away over walls now and also root you. Like, it's just kind of insane. And then, of course, she has her ultimate, which can do ridiculous damage, stun you from across the map when she wasn't even in the fight. Very annoying. Aspect Neith, this is a very underrated pick, in my opinion. The amount of attack speed she can get is actually fucking insane. I think she can get 6 stacks of 15%, if I remember correctly, which is 90% attack speed that she can get just by exploding weaves as long as she keeps it stacked up. This pick is underrated, in my opinion, and she can absolutely shred you. Regular Nemesis, probably, like, annoying. Aspect Nemesis, miserable. This is one of the most miserable picks to play into in the entire game, in my opinion. I really don't like the design of her Aspect ultimate. Swapping health bars, yeah, it's kind of okay in team fights. It's, like, tolerable, maybe, in team fights. Because you can focus her down, you can land multiple CCs on her to stop her casting her ult, or you can just, you know, make sure you've got people there when she does reset her health bar to just kill her again. But in a 1v1 scenario, this is just like, it just devolves into a game of cat and mouse, basically. You know, no one's ever going to want to fight the Nemesis. You fight her and she just takes your health away, and then you've used all your cooldowns and she has all of her cooldowns back ready, and you have now all the even amounts of health and she just kills you. She essentially has 2 life bars, and then her shield gives her an extra half a life bar, and it's just infuriating to play against. Nuwa in both forms is miserable as well, mainly due to her ultimate, obviously. The clay soldiers can be annoying, the fog can be annoying a little bit, but it's mainly just the ultimate. You know, this character doesn't do anything with her base kit, really, and her entire game plan is just, I'm going to build for my unmissable ultimate and make it hit you for 1,000 damage late game, and there's not really anything you can do about it other than having Aegis ready. Zero skill involved, zero thought process required, and just does insane amounts of damage to the entire enemy team, but then she's, like, useless for the first 25 minutes, and base kit does nothing, so it's just, like, really feels bad. Odin, probably annoying, I would say, for Odin. Just with the amount of cooldown reduction available in Smite 2, it feels like he has abilities up every 3 seconds, and one of them is a gigantic shield, one of them is a leap, and one of them can slow and stun you, and it's like, how do you ever chase that guy down? You just don't is the answer a lot of the time, and then obviously, like, matchup diff sometimes as well, if you're playing in casuals and you didn't see the Odin picked, and it just turns out, oh, I picked Afro, but now they have an Odin, that's kind of sad. That can be a bit annoying as well. Pele's okay. I'll probably put Pele in, like, tolerable, both forms, honestly. She has a lot of healing, which can be a bit annoying to deal with without anti-heal in the game or whatever, but I don't think it's too bad on Pele. It's always been her identity that, like, occasionally she gets this big burst of life steal when she gets low, and you're kind of prepared for that when you play against Pele, I suppose. You know, when you engage on her, you're kind of, like, calculating, unless you know that her passive is down, you kind of calculate the fact that she's going to get a lot of healing, and you're going to have to kill more than 100% of her health bar. Pos is, like, okay. I'll probably put him in tolerable. I've also realized now, like, how many picks I have that aren't even in the fun category. We've got, like, what, 4 gods in the fun category? To be honest, though, like, playing against a god is, like, often not actively fun. You know, I would say, like, anything in the fine and tolerable tier are, like, okay by my standards as well. It's mainly just these top 2 tiers that are, like, the very annoying gods to play against. Ra. Regular Ra is fun, actually. I like regular Ra. Has good counterplay, can absolutely blow you up, but is very immobile, very vulnerable. His healing is well within limits. I don't think the removal of anti-heal makes Ra OP or anything like that, you know, other than the aspect thing that was going on, but they removed that. Aspect Ra, though, is pretty annoying. I think since they removed the ability for his 2 to proc items, it's nowhere near as bad. I'll probably put him in tolerable. If his 2 was still proccing items, it would be a miserable tier, though, because that Phoenix Shield interaction and Bluestone interaction was not okay. I think they're going to add that back later on with the Yom tech, where, like, he'll proc items at a reduced value on those 2 basics, but right now he just doesn't proc them at all, so it's much more tolerable. Rama is fine. I don't really have a problem with Rama. I'll probably put him in fun tier, both. I think Rama's totally fine. Regular Scylla, I'll put in fine. No real problems with Scylla, to be honest. Yes, she can blow up your whole team in the late game, but she does have some counterplay. Aspect Scylla is miserable, though. Yeah, I think I'm going to put that in miserable tier. This pick is just completely busted right now. They refuse to nerf it thus far. I think it's going to be getting nerfs in the next patch, which you'll probably see, or may have already seen, depending on when I release this video. But yeah, this is just infuriating, dude. She doesn't need mana, and cooldown is so available that she can just have, like, a 1 and 2 on, like, a 4 or 5 second cooldown. She doesn't care about spamming them because she doesn't need mana. And then her ultimate, who thought that 18 seconds of CC immunity was okay? You know, this should just be, like, maybe 8 seconds, but that's all she gets to fire all the shots. You know, she shouldn't be able to reset 6 seconds every time she fires a shot of her ultimate. That's just stupid. Sobek. is fine, honestly. I don't really have a problem with Sobek. People do hate this character, I think, especially the fact that they gave him an execute, and that can be a bit annoying, which is why he's not in, like, the fun tier, I guess. But I feel like Sobek's pretty fundamental and has obvious counterplay. You know, if he beats his pluck or if he misses his pluck, he dies for it a lot of the time. You know, he kind of gambles with his life, and I think that's okay. Yes, if you get hit by a pluck without beads, you die, but if you beats his pluck and just start throwing damage at him, he's probably going to die himself a lot of the time. I think that's kind of fine. Soul. Soul is kind of fine. ADC Soul, fine. Aspect Soul. Her 3 does far too much damage, but that's mainly just like a balance concern right now. I don't really have any like major problems with Aspect Soul either. Wukong, regular Wukong tolerable, Aspect Wukong miserable. This is assuming like Aspect Bird in Wukong. I think Aspect tanky Ox Wukong with the extra knockup on his 2, it can be a little annoying, but it's not that bad. This is mainly a placement for Aspect in Bird Wukong because that is just stupid. Is it fun to play? Absolutely. It's a fucking dopamine simulator, but playing against this is just like the most miserable thing on the planet, dude. He just has an unmissable ability that outranges everything in the entire game on a 5-second cooldown, and it does like 40-50% of your health in the late game. And then in the laning phase, it's equally boring. He just sits there and just 1-2s the wave, runs off, farms something else, and just completely ignores you because he's just there to power farm and get to late game. Yeah, super boring to play against in the laning phase, and then infuriating to play against in the late game. This character is stupid. Susano. A lot of haters on this guy, man. I don't find him as bad. I think I'll put him in tolerable. He does have some annoyances. The fact that he has so much CC is kind of crazy. But I will say the nerf to his ultimate did bring his frustration factor down a little bit. You know, he can't just instantly rip a giant AoE knockup in the team fight, which was a big part of why he was so annoying. He at least now has to charge that up a little bit and wait for the knockup if he wants to get that. But he can still be pretty annoying. He does a lot of damage. He has a lot of CC for a character that does so much damage and has so much mobility. It feels like Susano just has everything in his kit, which is like the main reason he's a bit annoying. You know, some junglers, they might do insane damage, but they might not have great mobility, or they might have great mobility and do great damage, but they have very low CC, like Cleaner or something like that. But Susano, it feels like he just has everything in his kit, which is kind of crazy. Thanatos, fine, I would say. In both forms, I think he's totally fine. Thanatos is one of those gods where, like, he's very explosive. He can absolutely get rolling and stomp your entire team, but if he's behind, he's going to struggle, and he does have relevant counterplay, I think. Morrigan, regular Morrigan, miserable, Aspect Morrigan. Can I make a new tier? This is probably the most annoying pick in the entire game. Thank God it was nerfed a little bit. They finally got around to actually nerfing the Aspect teleport, but it's still infuriating, man. The fact that you can just throw that shit out and just, like, keep beating on your TP away, do baits where she runs one way and the clone goes the other way, and, like, you need multiple people to cover it. And then for, like, both forms of Morrigan, her ultimate in Smite 2 is just stupid. I don't get why she gets your relic. Like, why? Why does she need to get your relic? She never did in Smite 1. Obviously gets your active items and your consumables as well, which is completely dumb in my opinion. I don't understand why she gets, like, actually everything. She should just get your abilities, in my opinion. She should not get your relic and your consumables and your active items. Maybe she could get your active items. That's, like, the one that I might consider leaving there, because sometimes, like, a build doesn't make sense without the active items that it has. But yeah, she should absolutely not get your relic or your consumables. That's just stupid, in my opinion. The fact she can ult into you and get your beads, while her beads are still readily available to be used, and she gets your active items, she might get your Fire Giant Dagger or your Runic Bomb or something. It's just kind of dumb. The single most annoying character to play against, in my opinion, even more than, like, Neith and Afro and Dua. I absolutely hate this pick. Thor is fine in regular, probably tolerable in Aspect, because he does have a lot of healing in Aspect, and that can be pretty annoying. The amount of burst healing this guy can put out if he's fighting multiple people is kind of crazy. It's a bit like Mordred in a way, I suppose. You know, if Mordred is fighting, like, 3 or 4 people at once, the amount of healing he puts out is ridiculous, and Aspect Thor is very similar. Ula, annoying. For sure. I wouldn't say it's quite miserable playing against Ula. He does have counterplay in terms of, you know, you either beats the axe or you juke the axe. And he is very unsafe if you can actually get on him a lot of the time. You know, if you can juke his axe stun and then get on him, you know, he has a jump, but he doesn't have a CC immune ult. You know, if you can burn his jump, he's going to be in a rough spot a lot of the time. But I will say the +1 where he got the slow area on his 3 after swapping stances from bow 3 can be really annoying, because he can stop you chasing him by just bow 3ing at his feet, and then that slow hits you. If you're a melee god, you're going to have a hard time, like, catching up to him, and then he turns around and axes you and kills you. Although he's very annoying, don't get me wrong, I just don't think he's quite worthy of being up with these guys. Oh, Vulcan. I used to like playing against this god, man, but I've found over time that I have come to kind of dislike playing against him. Regular Vulcan, I would say, like, tolerable. Aspect Vulcan is miserable. Talking about Aspect Vulcan solo here, because that shit is just like a win lane for free button, and I really don't like that. Just slam all your turrets down, they kill the entire wave for you, the enemy takes a bunch of poke because they're a melee solo laner, and they have to get in there towards the wave to actually clear it, and then you just take turret poke and you lose. He has infinite free regen, so you can never take a sustained fight against him. There's basically not a lot you can do about an Aspect Vulcan solo. He just sits there and wins lane for free. He's a bit useless late game, to be honest. I don't think his pick does anything late game, but that's like even more infuriating, if anything. You know, if he won late and then translated that into a really powerful late game and closed it out against you, that's one thing, but he wins lane and then does nothing late game. Like, the only reason people are picking this is because they don't want to lose lane, I guess. Very frustrating. Not a fan of Aspect Vulcan at all. Yamoja. I like Yamoja. I'll put her in fine. The only reason I'm going to put her in not fun, actually, let's move the aspect down because that's different. The only reason Yamoja is not in the fun tier is because her early game is really annoying to play into, I think. You basically can't contest the Yamoja in the early game. You know, she's just going to chain stun you, do a ridiculous amount of damage, and that can be a bit annoying, but I respect Yamoja players. It takes a lot to fully maximize her, and she can do a lot of cool stuff, and outside of the early game where she just has more abilities than you and you can't really contest it, I don't think she's that bad. Aspect Yamoja is cringe though, man. Aspect Yamoja is definitely in the annoying tier. The difference here being is like Aspect Yamoja's 1 and 3 don't exist. All she does is spam her 2 on you, use all of her ult, press her ult, spam her 2 on you some more, and eventually you'll die. Like, that's the character, basically. There's no reason to use her 1 because it doesn't stun anymore. Maybe you would use the 3 very occasionally, but a lot of the time in a team fight, it's just I'm going to spam 2 until I run out of ult, press my ult, spam 2 again, and everyone dies or I'm dead. That's pretty much what Yamoja's about with the aspect, and I do not find it very fun because especially once she hits that 2 on someone, it's unmissable after that. You know, it just bounces for free and there's not much you can do about it. Ymir, definitely in fun tier. Definitely in fun tier. Ymir, very fundamental support. Has effective counterplay. He is very vulnerable. He can get picked off, but he can also, like, absolutely ruin you if he can get on you and get good walls and stuff like that. I think Ymir is really fun to play against. Zeus. Annoying at the very least. Probably not miserable, I would say. Not as bad as the picks that are up here, but Zeus can be really annoying to play into, obviously. At least he doesn't have the shield to bounce things off of like he did in Smite 1, but also he has his new 2, which is also really good. It can just, like, stack up charges. Charges aren't removed anymore either, so you can keep detonating on you. Keep getting that basic attack bonus damage, so, like, I'd say he's just as annoying as Smite 1, just in a slightly different way, but, you know, he still has that, like, he hits 1 on your front line, it bounces to the back line, and you just all die. He's very glass cannon feast off armor as well. Like, he does have counterplay. If you can get on him and he's not, like, ridiculously fed, you can kind of kill him pretty easily. But I think he leans a little too much in that direction of feast off famine with Zeus, to be honest. You know, if he gets ahead, it's just Jova. If he gets behind, he's going to do absolutely nothing. Aspect Hecate. Annoying at the very least. I'm talking about Conquest purely for this, by the way. If I was talking about Assault, obviously Aspect Hecate is miserable. I think for Conquest, I'll just put it in annoying. I don't really see it too much. I don't think it's actually very good in Conquest. It's just, it's a bit annoying. You know, you get punished for casting your abilities way too hard, I think. Osiris is fine. I don't have a problem with Osiris. Aspect Osiris, I'll probably put like 1 tier higher. I haven't played against that too much yet. Only a couple of times, but it does feel like it's going to get a bit repetitive and annoying when the one is just hitting you for like 900 damage in the late game and he can cast it 3 times like instantly, and he does ridiculous damage, but it's also like really tanky because he still has that mitigations, he still has the damage reduction on his 3. He can still do a lot while remaining tanky, which can be kind of annoying. Regular X-Bal, I'll put in like fine, probably, maybe tolerable. I'll say tolerable. And Aspect X-Bal is... Since the nerfs, I don't see as much of it, so I'm going to put it in annoying. Maybe the nerfs have helped a little bit. Release Aspect X-Bal, definitely miserable. He just presses 2, ults, presses 2, and you die. I still think he's pretty annoying, but I think after the nerfs, it's not quite as bad. And finally, Tsukuyomi, I will put him in annoying as well. Probably both of them. It doesn't really matter. Aspect is probably a little bit less annoying, but is it? No, it's not really. They're both about the same. They just do different things. Suku's pretty annoying, though. You know, the Legos restricting your movement, the ultimate that if you don't have beads, you just kind of die to. Yeah, Suku could be pretty annoying. But that is your full tier list. Let me zoom out, see if I can get the whole thing on the screen there. So yeah, those are my most miserable gods to play against. Aspect Agni, Afro, Huyi, Aspect specifically, Janus, Kali in both, Neith in both, Nemesis Aspect specifically, Dua in both, Scylla Aspect specifically, Sun Wukong Aspect specifically, Vulcan Aspect specifically, and both forms of Morrigan. Let me know your own, like, most miserable matchups or any you find, like, actively fun, like I have the ones down here, and I will catch you guys for another one later on. Have a great day. And peace out, you nerds.